Hello, Dr. Lee and fellow classmates, if you guys are watching. My name is Deontay, and I was in a group with Laura and Stefan. It was the three of us. I'm going to, for my project presentation, I'm going to be talking about our production days, and then I'm going to be asking the questions. You know, who did what worked, what didn't work, what can be done differently next time, and as far as like the editing process that we are doing so far. So I will provide the list of the production days, and for each of the production days, I'm going to tell the backstory behind it, or the story of that day or that weekend or whenever we did work together. The first week we met was February 19th through the 21st. The first time me, Laura, and Stefan had met, we met in the library, and that was the first time we all got together and we were brainstorming ideas for the story that we want to create. And also with that, we tried to figure out what materials we wanted to use and the type of animation we want to do as well. We ended up using clay. Clay was the best thing because we were going to use foil, but we wouldn't. We was like skeptical about it. So after we got done with that, we left, met back on Sunday, which is the 21st, and we still didn't have a decent story for us. So we again brainstormed, and we came up with the comedy sketch that you saw with our draft the first time. And it was, what do animals do when humans aren't looking? So after we came up with the idea for the story, we ended up figuring out what animals we wanted to do. So the animals we ended up using were squirrels, rabbits, snakes, deer, male and female, so a deer and a dove, bears, and foxes. So after we figured out what animals we wanted to use, we then tried to figure out what funny activity would these animals be doing while, when the human walks past. So we figured out what these animals have to be doing, and honestly, from the draft that we have gave you until when we got finished, the story changed drastically. I mean, it's not too bad, but it was enough so that we can complete the film in time. So what we ended up doing was we had squirrels chasing some runaway peanuts, deers roasting marshmallows, foxes playing cards, bears attempting to box each other but they get distracted, and then 2 rabbits attacking a snake. So moving on to the next 2 weeks, we continued to meet on from February 26th to March 6th. Within those 2 weekends, we met, and during that time, we just started making the clay animals. Not all of them, but we made a few just to start us off. After those 2 weeks, we couldn't meet another 2 weeks because it was spring break and we all went home, so we couldn't work on it. But after spring break, which is the weekend of Easter Sunday, so Easter Sunday weekend, Laura and I, we both painted backgrounds for our scenes, and then she bought, I think it was styrofoam. She bought some styrofoam. We put some green soft material on it. It was, I don't know what kind of material it was, but it was some green materials. We had put it on the styrofoam, and that made the ground floor for our project. Then that next week, we ended up making the rest of the clay animals that we needed, and whatever extra stuff that we needed for the project so we can start filming. So the next week after that, April 8th to the 17th, we did not meet, not at all, because we all felt like we were kind of falling behind in our classes, and we had to take those 2 weekends to catch up with our work. The next week after that one, I'm sorry if I keep saying next week, when I provide you with the PowerPoint, hopefully you can follow it. I'm sorry if you can't follow it. We met April 22nd and the 24th, and within that weekend, we met on Friday and Sunday. And that Friday we started filming, and then that Sunday we actually finished filming. And without a doubt, we actually got done a week ahead of when I made the schedule for us to finish filming. I ended up saying that the week of April 29th to May 1st, that's when we were supposed to be done. But we got done a week before, and then we basically took a break. So after we filmed that next week, we didn't do anything. At least I didn't do anything because we were practically done. I mean, I still have to do the sounds, but we were basically done. Oh, and then as far as editing the film, Friday, tomorrow, when I'm recording, this is Thursday, and we're going to edit tomorrow on Friday, the 6th, I believe. Yeah, the 6th. We're going to all meet and edit the film together and add my sounds to it. And, hopefully everything goes all right. Now, there were some questions that you wanted us to answer. Now, the first one was, who did what? So to answer who did what, for the clay animals, we all pitched in and made the clay animals together. For the background and the stage, it was me and Laura because Stefan had to go home for that Easter weekend. The camera and the tripod, we used Laura's camera and her tripod. For the lights we used, it was Stefan. We didn't use a light kit. We just ended up going to the dormitories, University Hall, and it was a plain white wall, and that worked perfectly fine for us. As far as the animation and the posing of the animals and creatures, we all took part in it. Somebody was manning the camera, and while the other two positioned, what we wanted the animals to do for the film. I worked on the storyboard for the project, but the storyboard that you have, Dr. Lee, it changed because while we were making the film, the stuff that we had in the storyboard, as far as doing it, it didn't turn out right. So we ended up, as we were filming it, changing up the story. And the editing, we all are gonna edit and put it together. So, yes, what worked? So, what worked was the clay. At first, we were gonna use foil, but the clay animation ended up looking better. And with the clay that we had, when we did subtle movements, it didn't break, so it actually worked out for us, and the film turned out pretty good. But it turned out pretty good, but we were skeptical of it breaking. But nothing. Well, one of them broke, but we finished it and it turned out right. Turned out really good. Another thing that worked was the story. So at first we had the big complicated story about a human walking past and animals doing stuff. So we kind of scrapped the idea for the human being in the film because we just didn't feel it was necessary for it because the focus was on the animals, and we're trying to tell the story of what they're doing in the woods or in the forest. We're going to continue where I left off. So I left off at what didn't work for the project. The painted backgrounds that me and Laura did for the project, we ended up scrapping that idea because we felt that it really didn't work for the project. It seemed kind of cheesy, even though, it's an animation project, cheesy is cheesy, it is what it is, but we just felt that it really wasn't necessary for the project. Another thing that didn't work was the story that we had made the first time, and we felt it was really complicated to do the human walking past and stuff like that, and we just decided we should just focus on the animals because that's what the video not the video, but just that's what the project is about. It's the narrative of the animals and what they're doing when humans are not around. Next is the what can be done differently next time. Only thing we felt that could have been done differently next time was like add more to what we already filmed, because we had a lot in the beginning and we had to narrow it down so much that we didn't get to tell the story we wanted to tell, but we told the story, we told the story that we felt would somewhat be similar to the storyboard or the original story that we had the first time. And lastly, editing. Again, editing, we're gonna all meet up tomorrow and put it together and add the sounds and everything to it. That's all really. So thank you for watching. I hope that you were able to follow. Sorry for the dramatic room change. I had to leave the library and come home. But other than that,